Hello again. We have a lot of really fun things we're going to be doing tonight, and looking forward to a couple. Understanding the courts, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's a subject that once you understand it, it's kind of one of the best parts of the tarot. And before that, at least for me, when I began reading cards, it was one of the scarier parts, right? I never really understood how to read them in the beginning, and once that was kind of unlocked for me, it just opened up the whole system. That's going to be a lot of fun. The karmic silhouette, right? We go through that on a daily basis, taking a look at where we are in the current period of time and kind of combining that with our own personal energies and seeing how we can navigate and what's the shape of that, what's that look like for us. And we're going to be moving into a new period of time coming up in about 4 days. Right, so we're going to be moving in from the 9 to the 10, and there's a whole different set of implications with that. So, where we are now, as we're getting closer, we'll kind of take a look at what that transition looks like, so that we can better kind of be ready for that. So, that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, and so, oh hey, how's it going? Good to see you again. The personal messages, right? Which again, we use the system of the Deacons, the decanate, the 36 Deacons of the 10-degree sections of the wheel. And what this allows us to do is to locate the small card that is related to your birth, and then apply that to the period of time that we're in right now in the Deacon, and it gives us like a mini horoscope, right? It gives us this sort of guidance over the next period of time, and that transition is going to be occurring again in about 4 days, and so we can apply not just where we've been, but as we kind of cross over into that period, there's a lot of changes that we're going to be going through elementally, planetarily, and so forth. And so it's a great time to kind of take a look at that, right? How's it going, Peter? Good to see you. Thanks for popping back in. And the daily messages, which are already up on the channel, actually. These are put up for a live stream, typically, so you can go and see those. That's the daily message. That's a general message for kind of the global environment that we're in. That's really for everybody. That's not an individual message. If you have pets, if today happens to be your birthday, and then a basic connections reading. Something else we'll be talking about is the Deacon system, which ties very closely into the courts, and you'll see why. The Spotlight deck, which we're going to be looking at today, the very rich, visually, Surrealist Tarot, and it's something that I've only read once. Yesterday, that I had never read it, but I used it once to draw one card and to do a reading for somebody, and I'm looking forward to pulling it out tonight again and doing something a little more advanced. I've been reading tarot for a very long time, but this deck is very, let's just say it's interesting, and it's a difficult read, and so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And so we're going to be doing that as well. And there's a new segment that I'm going to be starting. That there was a period of time where I had considered looking at topics in the news, globally, locally, people who participate in the stream, if they have something going on locally in their area they wanted to look at, and I kind of changed my mind on that. And the reason I did that is that I find there's a lot of negativity in media, regardless of the side that the particular outlet is purporting, or the agenda that they're pushing, regardless of what side. It's just two sides of the same coin. And so I felt like rather than perpetuating that sort of propaganda message from either side, and kind of focusing on the negativity in the world, we would totally swap that around and focus on the positive side. And so Beautiful Soul, every day I'll be looking at the tarot community and looking at individuals who are walking the talk, and are creating change in the world to try to uplift this energy that we're in right now, to show the truth that we're all the same, that we all need each other, that none of us is greater than the other, and so I'm looking forward to that as well. Okay, and obviously in between we'll be doing readings and hopefully providing some insight and answers along the way. So that said, tonight I'm not 100% sure what deck I want to sort of start with. I'm going to save this for the spotlight. So let's see. Let's use the Abyss, Tarot of the Abyss, Anatorian. It's a great deck. That's a very profound statement. It's very zen. Like, let's just take a moment to appreciate the level of Tao in that statement. Have you ever farted, but it wasn't you? Man, mind blown. I tell you what. Brief interlude. I've been studying occult esotericism, religion, philosophy, theology, theosophy. It's divination. I've taught tarot for over a quarter century. Every once in a while, the universe presents you with a gem of wisdom, and the truth in it is so apparent that it transcends culture, it transcends time, it transcends the idiosyncratic nature of language, and it just speaks to the heart of what needs to be heard. And this is one of those moments, and so let's not miss this opportunity. Anyone who's read the Tao understands why this is actually a profound statement. And regardless of what this person's intent was in posting this in the chat, and I'm leaving it up, it's not going, is the beautiful profundity and the yin-yang of this statement. And also the dichotomy of the fact that it's beautiful wisdom from ignorance, right? So it's actually the product of the fool. What is the fool? Blissfully ignorant to the fact that he's walking around manifesting reality as he goes. And so we see that here in this statement. So thanks for the contribution to the evening. You can bill me. So that said, I think a good place to begin this evening would be at looking at the karmic silhouette, which is basically there's a compulsion that the ancients had to separate their world into small chunks that they could appreciate, right, and they could measure. And one of the ways that they did that is how they measured and delineated the sky. Now we know about the scientific ones, right? The hard sort of natural ones. How many times the moon goes around in 1 year is 12. How many times the Earth goes around in a circle in a year, 365. There's these numbers, right? And now one of those is the idea of the 10-degree sections of time. It's sort of like a third of a month. And, 3 being a very holy and profound number in a lot of different philosophies. The Holy Trinity, the Osiris, Isis, Horus, the idea of the 3 mother letters or the elements of fire, water, air, creating earth as a product. It's all over the place, right? And so when you divide the year into 10-degree sections, you get 36 different periods of time, and each one is ruled, so to speak, by a deacon. That's where we get that word deacon. The word deacon comes from the Latin for 10, meaning deca, and that, decimate, meaning that you remove 10% of something. Something that's decimated is 10% of it's missing or gone now or destroyed. Decimal, and the Deacons, decanate. And so these 10-degree periods of time are a very powerful tool for accessing the knowledge that's locked in the tarot. Okay? And so one of the ways that we use this is to look at the current period of time that we're in. And there's two cards that really are associated with that. There's the month, or the sun sign, which we're in a period of time right now, just actually recently moved into the center portion of Virgo, right? We're in the 2 to 11 section right now, or the 9 of Pentacle, and we're going to be moving toward the end section of Virgo here shortly on the 12th into the 10 of Pentacle, right? So right now, we're in this period of the 9, and due to the fact that we're in the month of Virgo, that puts us with the Hermit, okay? And so there's a lot of knowledge that can be gained from looking at this diagram. This chart is available in various places on the internet, as well as in 777. It's in a grid form, like a spreadsheet. I like the wheel because it's easier to quickly recognize the fact that it's a looping period of time, and it's a sky, right? So that said, the 9 of Pentacles is the period of the blissful ecstasy or rest that comes with the work being done, and therefore there's no imposition. There's time for you to have this experience. There's no anxiety because you've committed to something and then achieved it, and so you've showed up and you did what you said you were going to do. All the things that come with that. There's some other more profound esoteric meaning, but that's out of the scope of like a general kind of circumstance for like a live stream. On a more private level, or on a one-on-one consult, we would get to the much deeper, the third level of the meaning. And now in the Hermit here, we have the circumstance of the truth is only visible in the darkness. In the light, you see everything, and so it's sometimes difficult, in fact most of the time, to discern truth from lies. The lies are very convincing, and so in darkness, however, we are assisted by the fact that that's all gone, and we are forced to use different means to perceive the situation, right? We're stuck not using our eyes. We have no choice. And so the side effect of that is that we rely upon our inner light, which is this magic lantern, and that is a very powerful magic that can only shine on the truth. However, it's useless in the sun. The sun drowns it out, and so it's effectively doesn't work. But in the darkness, it's the only thing that can be seen. So the Hermit is the period of, along with the 9 here, the period of introspection as opposed to extrospection, and the release of anxiety that comes along with that, right? Now that doesn't mean that don't socialize during this period, or it doesn't mean to, lock yourself in your house or whatever the case, or meditate for 9 days straight. But what it does mean is that the period that we're in right now is conducive if you were to do this work. Like the karmic direction, the momentum is such that it will assist you if you decide to do this. So, and the personal readings that we do throughout the evening are going to take your birth card and apply it to this, and see how that changes for each individual as we move through this period, which is coming up here. So that said, the idea of this period of time and how to use the Deacons is a very powerful tool for various types of reading. For example, a love interest, what's their birthday? Compare their birthday to yours, right? So you go to the chart, or in this case the wheel, locate your birthday and your card, right? Let's just say you were born on January 1st. January 1st is the 3 of Pentacle. Let's say they're born on June 1st, right? So June 1st is the 9 of Sword, right? So you take that 3 of Pentacle and the 9 of Sword, combine that, and that gives you a basis, a starting point for the reading. You could certainly look at a future date of an event that's coming up, a wedding, a funeral, a vacation, a business venture. So many different opportunities there, right? And combine that with the individuals that are associated, their birthdays and these other things. So that said, the technique, even for somebody who doesn't have direct knowledge of the tarot per se, very few people nowadays don't have a knowledge of some kind of astrology. And if you look at the wheel, it's a perfect overlay. It's a Rosetta Stone for combining the tarot with astrology. So for instance, let's look at where we are right now in the Nine of Pentacles. That's to the right in the green, in that portion there for Virgo. Another way to say Nine of Pentacles is Venus in Virgo. If you'll notice, you see the planet Venus. If you look at the Eight of Pentacles next to it there, we don't see the symbol for Venus, we see the symbol for the Sun. If we look at the Ten of Pentacles there next to it, we see the symbol for Mercury, right? So we're not looking at Virgo for each period of time. We're looking at the Sun in Virgo, Venus in Virgo, Mercury in Virgo. And this is another way for somebody who's new to reading the tarot would be able to utilize that language of astrology to get a sense of how we get these meanings. These cards' meanings are not arbitrary. They're based on a very ancient knowledge that was derived from the ancients' desire to understand their world. And they assigned these meanings to the sky. They cut it up into certain sections, and they would apply entities to these meanings. And this language is so ancient that it's actually built into us archetypally. It's in our DNA. That's why it's so easy for people who get the desire to approach this and to kind of go with it. It's intuitively built into us, this symbol system, over thousands of generations of use. Since, frankly, the beginning of the human's compulsion to understand and to utilize language to make that happen. So that's pretty old. Pisces, cool. My sister's a Pisces. So, Sun, she's a Pisces Sun. End of the day, anybody with even a basic knowledge of astrology can utilize the technique of the Deacons to get real insight into a circumstance, to get a genuinely different perspective that is not derived from an agenda, a will, something that is working either for or against you, that'll either echo chamber or try to knock it down. This is truth. It just provides truth. So it's an excellent oracle for both beginners, and if you're advanced, it's even more powerful because we know the inner secrets, right? The outer knowledge is this wheel. But then there's this level of inner knowledge. And this inner knowledge is the next layer of this circumstance as you approach the knowledge. And now there's several ways that this can be approached, whether it be through astrology, through the elemental system, through the Deacons, through the I Ching, through the Hebrew alphabet and how it is utilized to navigate the tree and to sort of diagram the different manifestations, the different levels, which are all really just holographic representations of the name, these four symbols, which are really just the manifestation of the three mother letters, the three elements, which are really just different versions of the one becoming self-aware, right? So ultimately the 78 symbols are just a spectrum of the universe and a micro and macrocosm, the macro being the complete, the unknowable, so don't even try, and then the micro, which is you and I, our story, our individual story, right? So what the Deacons do is allow us access to the physical portion of that. The 10 small cards, the ace through 10, are the energies that we talk about symbolically, spiritually, non-corporeally, manifest. It's them actually mixed together to their ratios to make stuff: wood, plastic, metal, air that you breathe instead of air, the concept, and so on. And so then we have the quartz, which we're going to talk about later. Different subject, but intimately connected but different. And the idea of the 8 and the 16 and what all that means, and the idea of the 3 in the Knight, Queen, King, and then the Page, which is actually secretly the throne of the Ace that gives birth to the element physically, right? So she exists to take those 3 and give birth to it in physical reality in the form of the Ace, which then goes through its experience as you and I. So fun subject, and there's a lot of insight, because what you're looking at is your story. You're looking at from the beginning till the end of you in this current incarnation, and the overarching version of that, which is the eternal you, and your fall and then return. And it's interesting that during this stretched out time version of that, we have tools and a vocabulary that gives us access to that experience before we complete it. I mean, how special is that? It's pretty special to me. I don't know. And so, part of what I'm trying to do here in the channel, and have tried to do for a while, is to provide with little snippets access to that. That's all. And to those who want more, to the ears open to hearing, the truth is available. So that said, let's just take a pause and do some quick readings. Let's see, with respect to the period of time that we're in right now, there's all kinds of opportunity for bad things to be. And this isn't really like a lemon into lemonade story. It's more the idea that you can't have rainbows without rain. That's, I think, more appropriate. And actually, I've heard that in a couple of different places in my life, but the first time I heard it, believe it or not, was my daughter, and she was very young. We were kind of going through an exercise, having fun one time about poetry. And so we were sitting down, I have 3 daughters. We were sitting down and we were going, writing poems. And Samantha, my oldest, she was maybe 6, 7, said to me, I don't know, I'm having trouble with the rhyming. And I said, honey, you don't have to rhyme. It's really about the meaning. It's sort of like about making the meaning itself the art. It's not about the words. It's about when you look at what the words mean, that's the thing that's pretty. And I think she understood that, because she went off and then she came back, and you know what she said? Let me pop a card up real quick to, I think, illustrate this the best. She said to me, I was outside playing and it started to rain. And I thought to myself, should I run to go inside, or should I stay outside and wait for the rainbow? Interlude. Sometimes children come out with the most beautiful truth. So, that was a special moment, and it was really something. That said, anybody who participates in my live stream is entitled to a free personal message, which uses the Deacon system to locate your birth card. Now, keep in mind, the birth card is very powerful and useful, and it's super easy to memorize, right? It's only one card, and it doesn't change throughout your life. It's very similar to your sun sign. I was born under Sagittarius, and so if someone asked me, hey, what's your sign? I'd say, well, I'm Sagittarius, right? But let's get a little deeper than that, because I actually was born in the period of time, and if you look at the top portion here in the blue, we're in the Sagittarius area there. I was born under the Saturn in Sagittarius portion right there, okay? Now, it also shows the symbol of fire, right? That's the triangle pointed up without a line. Shows the symbol for Sagittarius. But more important than that, it gives you this idea of the Ten of Wand and Saturn in Sagittarius being related to that energy, right? And so instead of just saying, oh, I'm a Sagittarius, I can say I'm a Sagittarius with Saturn, or represented in Saturn, right? Or I can say Saturn in Sagittarius if I'm speaking to somebody who's sort of in astrology. But the real gift is the ability to use it to kind of get a good sense of how we come up with the meanings for our tarot cards. Like, these symbols are old, but where did they come from? Like, I spoke yesterday's stream in the beginning about why 22 majors. Is that an arbitrary number? Absolutely not. And in fact, it's so holy that it's indisputable. It's so holy that I don't care what religion, I don't care if you're atheist, you see the information and it's undeniable, right? And so that's what we're trying to address here. Not things that are too easy to miss. It's more about what is obvious in your face and is undeniable. That's the goal. What happens if I had my sun in Pisces and my moon in Scorpio? Okay. Okay, well, let's say... Actually, well, let me read the one prior to it. The dream, if we aren't dreaming at all. Is it our walking life? Or wait, waking? Alright, I'm starting over. The dream. If we aren't dreaming at all, is it our waking life? Or just a reality that we're living in? Or choose to live in because we've lived in that reality before? Whoa. Actually, let's address that. The dream, if we aren't dreaming at all, is it our waking life or just... Okay, yeah. So, what is waking life? That's the lie. The biggest lie ever told was our ego fooling us into thinking that we are in control and aware and we're going and like this. No, we're not. We're just sitting in our brain watching it all happen, being fooled into thinking that we're the one making the decisions. So waking life is a lie because we're constantly in the same place. Whether we're observing the dream state or the wake state, all we are is observing. Let's look at the next part. The reality that we're living in, or choose to live in because we've lived that reality before. Okay, we are choosing to live in it. We actually create our existence in every moment. We decide our existence. Neetha, hello. Of course you can. Let me pop your name on the list. Okay, and we actively create our universe every moment. Every Planck length. We are a new thing that is deciding to maintain the old thing, and that's the only reason that we persist, is because we choose to. Who are we? Who we choose to be in that moment. We've all heard that we're human beings. The word being is a noun, right? Wrong. It's a verb. We are a human being something. I'm a human being Michael. Right? So it's a choice. Alright, so what's next? Alicia, hello. Thank you for coming in. You're on the list. Let me pop you on there. Let me pop this up so everyone can see what I'm doing here. There we go. Okay, who's next? Flubber out of my butthole. Would you like to be on the list? If so, let me know. Arpita. Arpita was here first. If you're still in the room, let me know. If not, I'll put your name to the back and we'll go from there. Same for everybody else. If you happen to not be here when I call on you, you're not just knocked off the list. Things happen. I'm going to put your name at the back, and then it'll just move where you are, but you'll still be on the list, okay? Yes, I'll put you on. Okay, so you will be after Arpita. Okay, great. And so this is the list as it stands right now. Okay? And again, if you're not in the room, your name will go to the back. We'll go to the next person, and we'll move on. So now how this works is we locate your birth card, and then we apply that to the card of the period of time that we're in right now. So what I need for everybody to do is either locate your birthday on this wheel and tell me the card. Like, for instance, the period of time we're in, today's date is the 9 of Pentacle, right? If we look at this wheel and we locate today's date of September 8th, it falls between the 2nd and the 11th there in Virgo on the right, and we'll see the 9 of Pentacle, right? So locate your card and let me know what it is, or please put your birthday in the chat and we'll locate it that way, okay? So here's what I'll do just to clarify. Alicia answered April 18th. April 18th. All right, so April 18th is the 4 of Wands, so 4 of Wand. Okay, hang on. Alicia. Okay, so the 4 of Wand. Then we have May 28th. May 28th. 8 of Sword. 8 of Sword. Okay, 8 of, that's Nitha. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate that. Okay, who else do we have here? Flubber, I need your birthday. Arpita, if you're in the room, I know you've been in before, and I'm sorry I don't remember your card. If you do, pop it in, and if not, we'll locate it. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. March 8. March 8. 9 of Cups. 9 of Cups. Okay. Okay, now again, keep in mind, everybody, this card does not change throughout your life. It's not esoterically derived. It's not synchronistically, ritually shuffled up to the spot. This card is determined by a very specific system that is older than can be known, that is utilized both in astrology and tarot, but the card does not change. It's very similar to your sun sign, and it stays with you throughout your life. So if someone asks you your sign, you'll tell them I'm a Sagittarius, but I can also say I'm also a 10 of Wands, right? So, and I think that we got everybody so far that's still here. Looks like it. Yeah, okay, so let us begin. First off, we're starting with Arpita, who is not here. I'm going to put that on the end. Okay. So our 9 of Cups. Okay, great. Our resident philosopher and poet, Flubber, out of my butthole, who, if you missed it, spoke some wisdom at the beginning of the stream here that really was some profound truth, and I'm not kidding. I mean, it sounds playful, and it was a vulgar statement with the intent of kind of it was like a mini troll, but it was actually textbook bullseye truth. And so scroll back in the chat, you'll see what I mean. But in the meantime, so this one's for you. Okay, the 9 of Pentacle. Wait, am I looking? No, 9 of Cup, not Pentacle. Yeah, let's get that right. 9 of Pentacles is where we are today. This is the 9 of Cups. Okay, now the 9 of Cups refers to all the cups are full. The image that we're looking at is the image of an innkeeper, and every room is rented out. Everyone's in a good mood. There's plenty to go around. Drinks on the house. Like, it's a very decent energy. Now, if you look, like, these are all nines we're looking at here. This is kind of like a very powerful thing that we're about to talk about. Well, we can do a different reading for you if you'd like. We don't have to use specifically your birth card on sun sign. If you have a more advanced knowledge of tarot and find that you would be better suited with a different kind of reading, we'll get to that when on your turn, and I'm totally open to that, so that's great. It's important that we have a connection that works, or what's the point of this, right? So okay, so if you notice, in his particular oh, thank you, Luanna, for saying that, and thank you for popping in. This particular reading right here is powerful. Let's just be clear on why these cards were chosen. The first card is the birth of the individual I'm reading. The second card is the period of time that we're in right now, the Deacon in astrology, the 10-degree period of time that's ruled by the Nine of Pentacles. And then due to the month that we're in, it's ruled by the Hermit, right, Virgo. So that said, they're all nines, where for this individual until the end of this period being the 9 of 12, the 12th of September is this 9 period. If you look at all the nines, it's not an accident that they are all happy cards to some degree. Some are slightly different, and but let's just pop out the other two for the sake of science, right? Because why not? This card here looks like somebody's injured, but what you're actually looking at... Let's look at the sword in a second here, because it's the scary one. But let's look first at the wand. This person's bandaged up, right? They got banged up. Would they get into a fight? Did they get jumped? What happened here? No, well, what happened is stuff went down, and people needed to step up, and nobody did except this person. So notice all the wands in the back. There's nobody there, but this one's in the front, and they're banged up, but they're there. They showed up. And not only that, they won. They didn't come out unscathed, but you should see the other guy, right? This person's in much better shape than the people he had to battle, and he showed up alone. So it's the idea of, although the work is hard, you are in a position to do that work. Artie, how's it going? Good to see you. So, and now, if you consider Kabbalistically the appropriate order of the elements, we start with the wand. Fire, right? It's like the states of matter. Fire, solid, liquid, gas, plasma, right? Plasma, the sun, the stars, the extreme heat that gives birth to the elements, right? So we start with the wand, and then we move to gas, air. Then we move to liquid, the cup, and then we move to the pentacle, which is the end, the physically manifested version. So you have to kind of read the story that way. So we're going to start with the wand. The fight happened, you showed up, you're a little banged up, you're going to be fine, you'll heal, and you also will gain notoriety from that, you'll gain personal strength from that, and you got the job done, man, so everyone else benefits from the work that you did. Now we move to the sword. Now the sword is a little different circumstance here, because what happened here in this story is that you left the battle and you gained all this strength, but you're still alone. And that's the anxiety of that. And there's more to this. Like, obviously this card means a lot more in different circumstances, but we're talking about the idea of what 9 means, right? And don't forget, the sword now is mental. We've gone from the soul to the mind. Now there's the consciousness, there's the mind, and that consciousness is now aware of the fact that, oh crap, I'm alone. And they're lonely and they're scared. Then we move to the next energy, which is water. We've done the work and we've overcome that anxiety, and now we're completely full. We're so full We have excess to give to other people. I knew you'd say that. I just looked at the chat. I said, he said gas. You're very predictable, Flubber. So, we're in the energy of the cup, right? And we've done the work. We've been able to work through the realities that we always face. All of us go through stages where we feel like this. And if we don't identify and we're able to see it for what it is, let the learning happen, we can be in a position to move on and enjoy the beautiful bounty that is the cups. We have so much that we can just give it away. We can share that, and it is meant to be shared. We become a resource for people. We become a fount of joy for others when we reach this stage. And then we have the beauty of where we are now, the Nine of Pentacles, that all physically manifested. Take all these energies and now put it in this person that's been through this and now has the reward of the rest of doing it right and being able to now just enjoy the bounty of that. And she is blissfully ignorant in her little world, enjoying her bird in her garden. There's nothing, there's not a care. And there's an inner strength that she needs no one. She's alone and okay with that. And anyone that enters her world is out of choice and will, a lack of control, and is a union that is balanced. It's virtually ensured in the Nine of Pentacles. So it's overall a very good sign here. But now we take this and we apply the Hermit. And what this refers to is that the work needs to be done. Like this has not occurred. It will occur if the work is done, meaning it's time to be introspective instead of extrospective. And now let me change the top there. I just realized I didn't put your name up here, just to make sure that everybody knows who this reading is for. Okay. Okay, and I hope you're paying attention, because introspection as opposed to extrospection. Okay, that means that you want to. It's not about being seen; it's about seeing. It's not about people looking at you and seeing you. It's about you seeing the truth, and that's what the Hermit does, is give us the power to do that, right? So, and if you do, you get to be the Nine of Coins. If you don't, it's the missed opportunity of those cups could have been full, but now they're not, and that anxiety it drags you down. It makes you feel less than you are, because you are, even if you fail. And so it's important that we can get past that place, right? It's important that we do that. It's okay to laugh at these things sometimes. Not everything has to be Batman level serious life. So that's absolutely right. I agree. Life is short to be serious, and that's why I laugh at things like farts and burps and occasion. Well, Jim Carrey singing out of his butthole in Pet Detective is fucking cinematic gold. I mean, and I mean that. Like, I'm not. It's not hyperbole. Like, how anyone in the room didn't die. Like how the scene actually got filmed. It boggles my mind. You know how the whoever held the camera didn't just destroy the scene by laughing too hard. The whole, he sang with his butthole. I just, so I completely agree. That's why I don't delete your chats, man. Interlude. Life sucks. The world sucks. There's nothing but pain and division and hate and separation and all this crap. Joy is a choice. And so many of us don't choose that for the stupidest reasons, right? So choose joy. Choose it. It's an option that we have at every moment. And all we have to do is nothing. Don't allow the crap in. If we do literally nothing and just be what we are, joy is natural. It's the normal reaction. So choose it. Anyways, so I agree with you. Okay, and that's kind of where we are right now with respect to the period of time up until the 12th. Okay, and thanks for your joy, man. Really. What we're looking at here is just a great opportunity for anyone who understands the energy that we're in to do some work that will ensure some level of growth. To what degree really has a lot to do with how you approach the situation, and what you allow yourself to take out of that. And so when these opportunities arise, we got to grab them. You know, life is short, and we have, it's not an infinite a number during our life. You are infinite, but this life isn't. And you know, if we don't make the best of it, we will repeat what we need to. Like we, you know, the end is the same for all of us. How we get there is different, and what we need to do is to try to make that trip as easy and peaceful as possible, right? Like, you know, I mean, we avoid suffering, avoid discord, avoid pain. We were built for joy. We have the ability to receive pleasure or pain. Why would we pick pain? Okay, so Nitha, let's take a look here. Let me scroll back. 8 of Sword. Okay, so if you notice here, 8 of Sword appears not only just in Gemini, but Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, so when somebody asks you what's your sign, you've been telling them, oh, my sign's Gemini, right? And that's you know, correct. But, and let's type this in here now. Okay. There we go. Let's pop it out. Okay. Okay, so when somebody asks you your sun sign, right, you tell them Gemini, but you can also tell them Jupiter in Gemini. And if we look at the energy and how it transfers through the month here, we go and we enter in Jupiter, and then we move through into Mars, and then we move through into the Sun. Jupiter is this idea of, look at me. Like, there's always a sense in Jupiter, whether it's intentional or not, of being seen. You know, it's hard to miss Jupiter, right? And that size can be personality, it can be physical, it can be in the light that you shine, in your spiritual energy. It manifests in a lot of ways, but typically, there's a jovial attitude. There's an energy about the person that is sort of shines light. It sheds light. When you apply that to Gemini, Gemini is an interesting energy. You know, those of us who know the vocabulary of astrology know that the Gemini is the twins, right? But there's a symbol here also of the two-facedness, kind of like the ability to switch sides. There's a flexibility there in the personality. So now, in this particular circumstance, your birth card, the Deacon, that's ruled by Gemini, is the 8 of Sword. The 8 of Sword, in its image, appears to be a woman, blindfolded, bound, and trapped in this like cage of swords. Now, let's talk about the sword. It's air, mind. Right, you have mind, body, soul, spirit. It's mind. It's thought. You know, mental activity, as opposed to emotional or spiritual. It's mental. However, there's some deception here. She's not tightly bound. The bounds are actually slipping off. They're about to fall off her arms completely, they're very loose, right? And the same kind of idea with the the blindfold, it doesn't really look that. It almost looks like it's about to kind of pop off, right? And the swords, they're not surrounding her. She looks like there's a little path for her to walk through, and then walking forward, there may be some puddles. Her feet are going to get wet. But there's nothing actually stopping her from walking through this. And so the warning / lesson here is that sometimes when we feel like we're trapped, we're not. And oftentimes when we feel like we're trapped, it's a mental thing. It's a lie that our brain tells us, and we have to resist the urge to identify with that. So the Eight of Swords also, it kind of refers to an excess, but it's dangerous because not all excess can be controlled. We think it can, but that's not a guarantee. In some cases, if we go too far, we run the circumstance of believing a lie, right? We kind of get sucked into a worldview that's not healthy, and we identify with that, and then we become trapped. And the real trap is the not knowing that we're trapped, thinking that it's normal. And that is really dangerous. Now, the reverse is that when we recognize that the trap is usually self-imposed, the moment the realization hits us, it starts to loosen. It starts to pop off. It's we as much as we get that sensation like we're gonna bump into something, we're not gonna. There's nothing to actually bump into. So that's a very strong and powerful energy for your birth card. Now, similar to what I've talked about here a bit tonight with respect to the period of time we're in, is the joy, the bliss, the ecstasy of the rest that comes with doing the work properly, and the Hermit letting us know that we kind of have to do this introspectively. We have to look in for that. There is no truth in the light, only in the darkness. There's no truth in the world, only in our hearts. But we have to block out the din of the world that wants to chime in on that, and so we can hear just the truth. And the way to do that is internally. In darkness, there is no light to get in the way. There's nothing to see. And so we're forced to use something other than our eyes, which is our inner light. And that inner light only shines on the truth, right? So that's the idea of the Hermit here. And so when you put this together, what we're looking at is that during this period of time, it's conducive for you to do inner work, to look at what are the bandages that you've been putting on yourself? What are the blindfolds that you need to let fall off? They exist, they're holding you back, and they don't have to. And the gift of the reward of doing that work is the Nine of Pentacles, which it's really hard to beat that energy in this deck. There's a couple of energies in the tarot that are just transcendently beautiful, and the Nine of Pentacles is one of them. And so, yeah, I hope that was insightful. If anyone finds any value in what I do here, all I ask is you like the video and consider a comment. Comments are a huge difference. I mean, they're way more important than you know. The only reason any of you are looking at me is because the robot put my face in front of you on your feed, right? In most cases. And that's because the robots decided to do that. Robots read comments. And so that's how they decide, right? Okay. Alicia, if you're still here, say hey so I know. And you are next. And Alicia, let's take a look here. Four of Wands. All right. Okay. All right. So, let's. What would be the best? I'm gonna pull a different deck out for Alicia. If they're still here. If not, then I won't be doing that. I would have attempted to do that, but not succeeding. So just one more time, Alicia, if you are in the room, it's your turn. And I'm going to use a special deck. Oh, thank you, Lana. I appreciate that. I try my best to get out of my own way and just let the truth go, so that I'm not interpreting the words until after I speak them. I'm kind of hearing them as I'm speaking them, and so to hear that it makes sense to other people is really great, because I don't want to feel like I'm speaking in tongues, and there's only one person out there that knows what I'm saying, right? And so that makes a big difference, and I appreciate that. Okay, looks like we don't have Alicia. So I will do what I do, which is to remove them from there, put them at the end. Eventually you get knocked off the list if you're not here for too long. And so, Arpita, if you're here, Artie, if you're here, Alicia, if you're here, let me know, and whoever's next is next. Looks like Artie might be the winner. That's my prediction. But if any of these three are in the room, Arpita, Artie, Alicia, the three A's, AAA. Otherwise, we're going to move on to some really, really fun stuff today. I have the next topic that we talk about is going to be the beautiful soul. This is a new segment I'm going to be doing daily, where we look at the tarot community, and we look at individuals who are walking the talk. And I'm going to incorporate a tarot card into that, a lesson basically into that that individual. And so I have a really, really cool person that I want to highlight, a specific circumstance, an event that took place, and a tarot card that is a very good lesson. And this individual was the perfect embodiment of the lesson in this card. And so we're going to talk about that next as well. So let's just take a look here at where we are. I'm not seeing anybody for Arpita, Artie, or Alicia, and so we're going to go ahead and jump to the topic, okay? And just to be clear, the tarot community is growing at an exponential rate, and I want to say that I'm coming from a place of experience. I've been reading for 38 years. That's about right. And I was, as an adult as well, involved on the business side of the New Age kind of explosion in the 90s, and the mainstream kind of movement that came with that. Aromatherapy, homeopathy, naturopathy, the New Age movement in music, which I'm very grateful for. Now, and the community has been growing since then, and it's good to see that. And so I have this kind of old guy perspective on the tarot that's shared by a couple people online I've seen that have kind of been around for decades. And an interesting thing, even though it's growing, it's actually a pretty small community of real readers that take their craft seriously. Now, I'm not saying all readers don't take it seriously. What I mean, though, is the pedigree of the knowledge, the importance that you walk your talk. And if you find a reader that does that, that's important. And especially for me, it's important that if I ever speak about a reader, an artist that maybe created a deck, somebody who has an opinion or a circumstance they want to talk about related to the tarot, it has to contribute. And today, who I chose to talk about for the beautiful soul is somebody in our community. Full disclosure, I don't know this person. I'm not affiliated with their channel or whatever. We're not sponsoring anything or anything related to any kind of marketing or whatever. This is me. I was presented her video in my feed and I watched it. And I've done a lot of work in the homeless community. Some of my closest friends are hookers and drug addicts. The world needs people to help these people. The world needs to understand some important truths. Now, the card I chose here is the Six of Pentacles. Why I chose this card is because of this image here. It's very easy to misinterpret this image. What we're looking at here is somebody who looks like they're offering charity to some poor, right? Or hungry or destitute, however you want to perceive that. And you're right, that's what you're looking at. Clearly we see money leaving the hand of this person in the middle and being given to this person on the floor, on their knees. They're intentionally drawn that way. And so we have this idea of status, right? This person clearly has more than the people down there, and he's well dressed. He's got his scale, right? He's holding the scale. It's a symbol of commerce, right? Clearly this person is a business person, or has been successful in some fashion in their life. And how great are they that they're going to give to the poor, right? Wrong. Not what the card means at all. The lesson is much deeper. This person is not just some businessman that decides he's gonna look good and give money. This person is sick and tired of the injustice. This person recognizes that the reason that they're wealthy is because there's a system that he was able to navigate better than others that allowed him to profit in ways that they couldn't. And it's not even, it's not level, it's not equal opportunity. And so we have an obligation because of that to provide to those who, because of their loss, we got to gain. There's also the pain. Drugs, alcohol, depression, mental illness. They need us. We need each other. It's an illness. They don't need to be shunned. They need to be taken to the hospital. They need to be told that they're loved. They need to be shown that they matter, because they do. This person recognizes that inequality, and they've taken it upon themselves to make it right. Notice the scale. The scale's important. This artist, Pamela Coleman Smith, was very exact. Let's look at justice for a moment, and you'll see what I mean. The Justice card here is designed very specifically. Look how perfect the scales are. Take a ruler to the screen and you'll see what I mean. And then in the other hand is the sword. The scale is perfect. The scale is not perfect, is it? It's close, but it's not quite there. This person knows it, and they are contributing their part to making that scale even. Why? Because they're people. They're you and I. And because of the system we live in, we get to be better than them out of the miracle of our birth, the randomness of our circumstance. Yes, we can take credit for the work that we do, but we also have to recognize the stuff that we have no power over that gives us benefit. And we have to do for those that can't. We have to. Especially if it's in us. And so what I want to do here is I want to put a video up. I'm going to leave this card up as well. And I want to highlight an individual in our community that I think is walking the talk, okay? Okay. Sorry. Now, I'm having a little trouble with my moving this card here. Now this individual has they popped into my stream once. I can't remember if I did a reading for her. I believe I did. I'm sorry. I do a lot of readings, and it's important for me to kind of come and go. And so I'm sorry. I don't recall if I did a reading for her. Who we're talking about is it's a channel that I bumped into after this video popped up in my feed. And I really feel like I need to share this with everybody. The name of the channel is Sharper Tarot. I don't recall her name. I think it's I don't remember. I'm sorry, and I don't want to guess. But you'll see it. Oh, there it is. Clairvoyance, right? Check that out. There's some truth going on. When you bump into a circumstance that you see that there's actually like a good vibe going on and there's truth going on, that's one thing. But then you see the circumstance of somebody that's walking the talk. I think that's more important. Okay, so let's just pop the video up, I really want you guys to pay attention to a couple of things that you're going to hear her say that really are the reason that I was so compelled to share this, and why I think it's so important to see it with respect to the Six of Pentacles. Okay, this energy is very important, and she's walking some important truth here. Okay, so just pay attention.
Do you need a blanket? Here, I'm giving you this blanket. So you can sleep fine, okay? And then also a hoodie. A hoodie. There's been a lot of times where I'll give, but I never keep track of it, never record it. This time, I felt compelled to. Nothing wrong with giving them some attention. But that's an example. Gotta help people in need. Our homeless people need stability. We have enough to go around. Let's get back. Little painting of everybody, and we play this not fair. Okay, so you'll see what I mean there. The important thing to continue to recognize is the why. It's not about it's the right thing to do. It's not about feeling good. It's not about people seeing you're this thing that you're doing. It's about being in a state of recognizing the inequality and knowing somebody has to be the one to act. Somebody has to be the one to do the thing that needs to be done, the right thing, and to spread the love, spread it. We are all the same. This is God looking at himself, right? This is God. It's like, what are we doing? And so when you see people out spreading love and doing what needs to be done, you see the people that are not judging but recognizing, wait a minute, this person needs what I have to act on that whenever you can, and make it happen. It's not about saying, oh wow, things are bad in the world, no, just so make it better. And small, tiny little gestures, right? And there's some things I wanted to add to this too. Very often in this community, it's difficult for people to get around, right? And a blanket is a great thing, not only because it keeps them warm. It can be a pillow if they don't need it as a blanket. It can be, and this is a biggie, they can wrap and fold their stuff up in it, and so they can just carry this and their stuff in the blanket. which is they don't want to get rid of, but very oftentimes things get abandoned because they have to leave, or they're in danger, and so they have to leave a certain area, and they have to leave stuff behind. It's so terrible. If you are going to provide food, don't give them canned food. It's almost cruel, right? They can't open it. They can't cook, so nothing that needs to be cooked. And, these are human beings just like you and me. And so, not everybody is just, like if they don't eat pork and you give them a ham sandwich, they're not being mean and they're not being ungrateful because they don't eat the sandwich. It's a human being, and so let there not be shame. Recognize what's happening here. You're just giving someone something to eat, and just let's try to respect that situation and recognize that the last thing they need is to feel shameful about accepting something from a stranger, right? It's already hard enough. And as you saw with Sharper here, this person clearly had some mental illness or was intoxicated and cannot really be held responsible, at least in the moment, for their state. And so if they're mean, if they don't want to talk, if they're ungrateful, give anyway, and then walk away. And finally, I'll say, just as a quick tip, a little bag. Something that they can put on as a knapsack's nice too, so that they don't have to leave stuff behind and they can grab it quick and go. Wrap their stuff up in a blanket, put it in their bag, and they can use it as a pillow. They can, there's a lot of flexibility there. But and nowadays, at least where I'm from, all the bags got banned, and we have all our bags are reusable, right? We all have and we have excess reusable bags, right? So, but it can make a difference. All right, so I just wanted to highlight this person. She's the beautiful soul of the day. Please do her a favor and visit her channel. There's a link in the description of this video to the video that inspired this and her channel. Love this person. She's spending love out in the world. The least we can do is give her some back to fuel her up for the next one, all right? So go get out there and spread it, okay? And so thank you so much. I appreciate it. And so that said, then, we talked about a couple of different things today. We talked about the Deacons and how they're used, this 10-degree section. We talked about the overall silhouette of the circumstance that we're in right now. We talked a little bit about the opportunity in the period of time that we're in to really gain some insight during introspection. Sometimes, and anyone in the room that is familiar with meditation or has tried knows sometimes it's hard and it doesn't work. Sometimes you can, no matter how much you want to get there, you can't. And sometimes it's easy. It seems that this period of time is going to lend to, in a lot of cases, not all, lend to that experience happening. And that's always good, that we can have some ease when it comes to finding those places, that oneness where we can see the truth. So that said, let's take a look at where we are in the room right now. Luana, Mahesh, hi, how are you? Thanks for coming in. And so I think we covered a lot of what I wanted to cover, other than understanding the courts, which we'll talk about in the next segment. It's a relatively longer, it's about a 15-minute little dissertation. But it's blow your mind, totally unlock the tarot kind of its talk. It's really good because, especially for people who are newer intermediate, it may completely open you up to new techniques for reading time, for understanding where these symbols come from, or when you're doing a reading, get a question and you pop out one of the courts and you're like, hey, what do I do with this, right? We've all been there, where it just doesn't gel. And actually there was somebody in the room who said something that was relevant to that too. The fire of earth, we're going to talk about what that means. with respect to the court cards. And so, and that's the elemental correspondences, which are very old and ubiquitous vocabulary that's shared among different cultures, different religions, different periods of time even. It sort of transcends all time because these are the components that existed before it, before time. Time didn't exist till the birth of the pentacle. So the field that we're in right now, all of us, is it's tenuous because you have competing energies of those who are compulsed to go in to see the truth and those who are repulsed and are drugged by the lie. They're afraid to look in because they know what they're going to see, which is themselves, and they're going to have to answer to that karmically. Like when you look in the mirror and you see yourself and you know that you're not going to be happy with that, you don't want to look. And so what our job to do here is to say, hey, we're the same. I don't judge you. Let's walk forward together and stop looking back. We are literally created by ourselves every moment. So that gives us the opportunity to literally, whenever we decide to finally do it, drop the baggage, drop the identity that carries this nonsense, including the false beliefs, the lies that we tell ourselves to be part of some subculture or a group that gives us some type of echo chamber for a false identity. And we move forward as the thing that we are, which is a weightless, infinite being of light that's occupying three-dimensional space for the purposes of knowing each other, loving each other, and learning from each other. And how are we going to do that when we're stuck in hate? So. Oh, awesome. Really? Cool. Six of Pentacles. Yeah, let's look at that then. We're looking at the energy of the moon in Taurus. Also, we're looking at the energy of coming from Mercury into the moon. Mercury is the energy of mind, science, music, complexity, entropy. Right? Mercury is the trickster. Mercury is the Loki. Mercury is the Hermes. Mercury is that son of a bitch that gave science to humans, right? Mercury is entropy. Mercury is great. And moving from that, and it's also like an elemental change here too, right? But because we are during the whole period, it's an earthy energy for sure. But the moon, you start getting into this watery kind of vibe, right? And so we're moving from straight up mind, because what was the real gift of Hermes? What is the thing Hermes really gave to us? 10 points, if you can tell me. Self-awareness, right? So, mind. That's what he gave us. And moving from that, which is this very powerful energy, into the moon. Now, the moon is really cool because the moon is what existed before the mind. That's what drove us before mind. And so it's sort of like, spiritually, we're going back to that old energy. And at the same time, there's this, sort of like the strength that comes with Taurus. And so it's how you transition between this shift from mental into heart. And whenever you're able to actually unify those two chakra, the result of that is kind of sick, because it's seeing reality through
because the heart is emotion, don't forget. It's spiritual and to one degree, but it's really a bodily thing. It's just like the mind is a function of the brain. It belongs to the pentacle. It's part of your physical form. The consciousness isn't. That's eternal. The observer, but the thinker is the brain. You are the observer of the thought. The brain is the thinker, and that belongs to the realm of meat, right? So, but that said, yeah, that transition between Mercury into Moon is can be powerful or scary or like a great opportunity to kind of turn some thoughts into like emotional energy. Because when you try to enroll others in your will, you need to have some emotion in there, or you're not going to sell the idea, right? Like if you were trying, hey honey, I want to have Italian tonight. I'm really looking for Chinese. If you want to make sure that you get what you want for dinner, you're going to have to emotionally invest that person in what you want and then feel that. So you need to literally magically take your emotion and install it into that person, right? And we do that through this beautiful ritual we call language. What is language? It is the exercise of vocabulary. And the vocabulary of the tarot and the vocabulary of astrology is a very powerful tool for accessing, interpreting, accessing, and manipulating there so that it manifests here and your will be done. So the transitional period between where you're coming from and where you land on your birth is a very powerful one. It's a good one. And the 6 that we're in or that we were talking about comes with all that. So it's really it's sort of special. That's cool. Let's see where we are here. Let me close that down. Okay. Alrighty. So that said, I'm going to step away for a couple moments. I'll be back shortly. And so again, if anybody would like to participate in the stream here, I just need your birthday, month and day, and we can choose your birth card from that, locate your birth card from that, and then we can go through the process that way, okay? Otherwise, I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll see you soon. Alrighty, so we're back. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do now is the Spotlight deck, which this week is something very special. I've been showing it, or attempting to, and I've showed a couple of cards, but I think I'm going to give it the attention it deserves right now. Because it's really special. It's hard to do what I do, and any of us in the community here know what I'm talking about, and not collect. And I'm very careful about doing that. I do not have a large collection of tarot cards. You'd imagine over almost 40 years I'd have a huge collection, but I don't. I've lost some over the years, obviously, and I've picked up some, and I've done a lot of different things with my decks. Some I've just straight handed to strangers. That's happened many times, actually, that found a passion, and I saw a connection that they were going to be able to grasp it and to run with it, and I did what I could to help to cultivate that. So some have even made it just into the hands of strangers. That said, you come across some that just have an impact. Anyone who's worked with the Thoth deck from Crowley knows that that's true. Even people who have experience in the tarot still have an impact from that deck. It elicits emotional responses, good, bad. Some are just straight up like disgust in some of the cards. Some of them are just empowering, and right. And it elicits this myriad of emotional and spiritual response that is undeniable, right? And a lot of artists, God bless them, attempt this. Some of them, they come off lofty when they mean to be serious, or they come off pretentious when they're trying to be artistic. Some of them are just too personal, and they don't really get the point across, and so they're really very niche. But some just completely transcend that and provide, in this case, accidentally, I think, perhaps not, but I believe it is, something much greater than they expected. Almost like they were the unwilling or unwitting tool that was fooled into thinking that it was theirs, but they were actually creating something greater than that, right? And so this deck does follow the standard architectural framework, right? So it's going to have the number cards, it's going to have the chord cards, it's going to have the majors numbered the way we are used to, and their positions and all this. The titles are the same or similar, but the artwork is so transcendent of the normal tarot. What this person did is they took the surrealist movement of art and recreated. These pieces are original. These are not cut and pasted, so to speak, from other art, from the movement. But this person drew inspiration, and almost in a way that is like an homage slash almost like an art thief. What do you call somebody who, I don't know why my brain is sort of stuck, but somebody who steals someone else's artwork, like paints, like an imposter. I forget what they call that. One example, actually, the most in my life, which I think is the most interesting, is the book Imagica by Clive Barker. Contains one of the main characters, well, two of them. One of them, spoiler, is gentle, and he basically just duplicates other people's artwork, but he's really good at it. But he has no creative energy. He paints other people's work. but can't create his own. Anyway, if you haven't read it, get it. It's really great. Clive Barker and Magica. Long story short, this is a bit different because this person has the level of skill to be able to kind of get into the world, the mind of the artist, but to create original works that are a perfect homage. So it's really a very special deck from that respect. So now the artist, the painter, is Luigi Di Giammarino. Massimiliano Filadoro is the author. He wrote the book. So these two together collaborate, and there's a link in the description to this deck if you're so inclined to acquire it. The deck's been shuffled. I haven't read it. I did do a single card reading with it finally to see how I would do, because I found when I originally began to study the deck, it was very hard to read when looking at it from the perspective that I'm used to. So, obviously you can't do that. And so I took a different approach. Cassie, thanks for popping in. Of course, definitely. I'm just going to be showcasing this deck real quick. And then what I'll do is I will do your reading with this deck. Okay, so no problem. And what type of reading were you interested in? I do several. Anyone who participates in my stream is entitled to a free personal message. Basically, I find your birth card and I associate it with the period of time that we're in for a personal message. If you do have a specific question or a certain issue that you need to get to the core of, I do one card for $1. The 3-card readings are actually pretty advanced, and they typically do more than 3 cards. I mean, it's at my discretion, and if I feel that we need to do more, which typically arises, we do. And then the full spreads, like the Celtic cross, the astrology houses, and various others. So we have those available as well. So, and if you'd like just a simple free birth message, all I would need is your month and day of your birth, and we can do that. And I'd be happy to do that once we go through the spotlight deck. And again, if you'd like, I can use this deck, which I've never read for somebody. I did a 1-card reading once yesterday. I've had this deck for quite some time, but I haven't read anybody with it yet, so you could be the first. So that said, I'm just going to give it another quick shuffle. I wish that the color was able to be seen on camera, because if you just do a quick little fan, I don't want to reveal the cards, but it's just so pretty. That beautiful little myriad rainbow of possibility. Right, it really is. It's just gorgeous, and I wish you could see that on camera the way it looks in real life. The color just does not do it justice here. Absolutely, Ikido. Same. As I had just mentioned to Cassie, I'm just simply going to be doing a quick spotlight of this deck, the Surrealist Tarot, and then I'll be doing readings. And so I'll put your guys' name on the list now, and so that everybody is aware of where you are in the list as we go through this process, right? So, hang on here. Give me just a moment. Okay, great. So, first we have Cassie. And thanks for popping in. I appreciate it. And then we have Ikido. And I believe that's it. Yes, Luana, if you're still here and interested, let me know. Mahesh, same thing. But for right now, the list is Cassie and then Ikido. And what we'll do, we'll determine your birth cards. And then we'll go through that process, okay? And so it'll just be a couple minutes as we go through the spotlight, and then we'll do the readings. And again, kind of fun. It's the first time I've used this deck for an actual reading. It will be the first time. We'll use the spotlight deck, so that'll be fun. So I'm just going to give it another quick shuffle. And, well, since I've already revealed it, let's just first take a look at the 3 of Cups.
How special is that? And now, if you're familiar with the rider system, let me pop up the this version in the rider system so that you can see the difference here. Just get rid of that wand, pardon. There we go. All right, so that's the Three of Cups that we're used to. This card is very similar, right? Like, clearly the artist kind of, obviously the background is very different, right? Like in the top card here, the rider system, we use this autumn vibe, right? There's a pumpkin, and there's this idea of like the cornucopia type elements on the floor. There's this celebration of the bounty of the harvest with the three muses type thing. It's just a great energy from that respect. And then we have this, which this organic kind of energy, while applied at the same time to this like metallic automaton. And then you have this figure, which is kind of like a merge of those two. And then you have this figure, which is more of like the human kind of vibe. And so the three are sort of like the three stages, which, you know, I've also often felt that the three here represents the three stages of the feminine energy, right? The cup is the feminine energy. And you have the maid, mother, crone. You have, you know, the daughter, the mother, the grandmother. You know, this idea, right? The prepubescent, and then the pregnant, and then the nurturer. You know, there's all these different sort of trinities within the overall energy of the feminine story, and the approach that the artist took here is just a very interesting one, right? And just some of these cards are just so beautiful. Page of Cups. And now you have to really look into the card here to see, like, where's the cup, and what is his story here? Because it's not the traditional story, but sometimes it's actually there, but requires a little bit of sort of digging into the artwork, or completely letting go of that and just letting your mind do its thing. Hello, Anna, good. I'm glad to see that you're still here. And again, if you'd like to participate, let me know. If not, and you're just listening, then that's great, and I appreciate it. King of Pentacle, my God. First of all, he chose Dali, which, how great is that, right? So this is Salvador Dali as the character that he chose to paint in this figure. Like, this is almost like a warped Mad Hatter scene, right? I mean, just out of a nightmare. And it's very kind of Dali-esque in the style of the work, and the shapes that are pouring around the table, whatever the heck is going on over here, right? And but the symbolism is available for those who want to invest the time, and that's the key with a deck like this. You can be lazy, and I've thought about it when originally looking to do a reading with the deck, and just go back to the symbols that I know, but purposely it's different, and so why not use the card differently? Now, it's out of the comfort zone. It's harder because it requires a totally different approach to something than you're used to. But at the same time, it gives you this opportunity to do just that, have a fresh perspective, even on how you read the tarot. So it'll be fun to see how I do tonight with that. Justice. There's so many things that you can see here. It almost looks like the zombies. It also kind of looks like there's this idea of a cycle in a way, right? You have these people, they look kind of young and bald, and then as they continue to go up, there's a bit of an aging going on. See, the hair is kind of starting to grow sprouts as they walk up. And what this refers to, I've always thought, is that like they're growing mentally. They're the same physically, if you notice, but their heads are growing these roots. And what is that root? Right? It's the idea of the It's the idea of because remember, roots, although they provide nourishment, also provide they restrict, right? The root stops you from moving. You're kind of stuck. And so it's interesting. Roots are a positive thing if used properly, and if that includes your environment, your family, your ancestral power and knowledge, and that you honor that and you allow it in your life, things like that. Those are good roots. Bad roots are things like political parties, no matter which side you're on. That's a word that means a general term, and that's not who you are, right? You may agree with certain things on either side, but you're not the word. Careful when you plant roots where you're sticking them. Queen of Cups. Wow. Come on. Who wants that as a poster? Are you kidding? Interlude. I could stare at that for days. Like, there's, I don't know about you guys, but there's something really, I don't know, I can't not look at this blue-green vibe. Every time I see blue-green next to each other, I just have to stare at it. And, you know, the Queen of Cups, you know, we're talking about the feminine energy, the water energy, and they kind of went, I think, like full, you know, pedal to the metal on water in this, and nailed it. The organic nature of all of the life is really, I mean, just, wow, the color. You have to see it too. I mean, this, I'm sorry, but it doesn't do it justice on the camera. It's so bright in your face. It's almost like primary bright. It's really, that green, it's really, I can stare at that all day. I want to blow that up and hang it on the wall. Right, we'll just look through a couple more and then we'll get moving. 9 of Swords. Look at the clouds that are loaves of bread. They're sort of jagged, like they're cut out of marble. Interesting symbolism there. We'll talk about that when I'm reading Cassie next. The Lovers. So first we have this symbol, which you'll see very often in this deck because it's sort of like a very iconic image in the Surrealist movement with the green apple in front of the face. And then we have this figure, which we recall we saw in the first card we looked at. All right. So this woman is this woman, and they're celebrating this marriage, right? Does that give some insight into these cards and how they work together? The story of the tarot in respect to how the Three of Cups refers to why these three women are celebrating? This is a difficult image to look at. I just want to warn people. Right. The High Priestess. This card is so delicious to the eyes, to the mind. It is the perfect little tickle that somehow manages to get both the right and left brain at the same time. This card is, well, you'll see. This is the High Priestess. Wow. How did this person manage to mix green and purple and it not look like mud? How did they look at that perfect union of the healing colors there? It's just, I feel her love. I can feel her love. Are you kidding me? And look what he did on the bottom. Jocelyn, hello. Thank you for coming in. Harshita, hello. Yes, I'm going to be starting my readings in about 5 minutes, not even. And you're on the list. Last couple of cards. Wow. Love that. And we'll talk about some things on this here. You know, usually you see the animals, right? Usually the chariot has the two, either phoenixes or horses, or usually red and white for the alchemical process, right? There's a lot of different animals that pull the chariot, right? And then there's the driver. And if you look what they've done here, it's the apple and the pipe. It's just, I don't know, it's great. You know. And there's some other symbolism here too, which I won't get into for the sake of time, but it's just very special. There's a special little message there for those who care to look. And here's the last card that I'm going to show before we begin the readings. Why this card is special is because, you know, there's a couple of people in their times, just based on their approach to their art, the number of fucks that they had to give, which happened to equal 0, and the fact that their goal was to transcend the time in order that they were able to change the world. Dali is one of those people. And although he was very popular amongst his circle in his time, he was also vilified by a lot of artists. How dare they? Dali said once, which is very interesting, if we truly understood art, we would paint pictures that could cure headaches. Because he understood the play of color and when the effect that it has on our lives, okay? And so, Dali, showing up as the devil is a very interesting in-joke in the artist community. Because at the end of the day, most of the art that he created was actually an insult to the people. Almost in a way that the geniuses of Matt Stone and Trey Parker created Terrence and Phillip. Like the people said, oh yeah, well, South Park's just stick figures. They said, really? Hold my beer. And they created Terrence and Phillip. And the irony is Terrence and Phillip is gold. It's hysterical. It's like the raw archetype of comedy. Like it's all you need, nothing more. And it's and so Dali did that often. Artworks that people take to such a degree of and put such a high standard on, like the melting clocks, right? Persistence of time or whatever. That was a joke. He looks at that like, and it's like, wow, these people take this seriously. Watch this, and he paints melting clocks and becomes like changes the world. And then other people who kind of, weren't in on the joke, thought that he was being serious and lofty and vilified him for that. It's really funny. They weren't smart enough to understand that they were being gaslit for the sake of humor. It was, God bless. So, and here he is as the devil. Right, it's just great. I love it. All right, really. So that said, let's go ahead and start readings. That's an interesting image. But yeah, anyone who would like to explore this deck, I have a link in the description. Wow, does that? Come on. What a deck. Anyway, there's a link in the description, and buy the deck. It's so good. It's if you've never used tarot, it's going to be a roughie. But if you are a right brain person, you'll probably have a better time than people who have read the tarot, because and that said, you might be held back by the knowledge that you hold, right? Oh, Aikido, hey. Okay, so let's take a look here. Sure.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. What reading would you be interested in? Is there a certain... And let me actually just update the list here. Let's see, yep. Let's update the list to have... I don't have much more time on the stream tonight, so I have to be a little sensitive to who I commit to doing a reading for, because I'm running tired. It's going to be about 2 hours coming up, and it's almost 4 a.m. In my time here, and so I'm going to have to unfortunately say Aikido and Cassie will be the final readings for the evening before I go. Okay, and so first off, is there a particular reading? I'm so sorry, and actually, if you'd like, and a few people have said, have bit on this, and if you go back in the comments, you'll see I do honor this. Anybody who comes and tries to participate in my stream and I'm unable to do a reading for, simply comment on this video with your month and day of birth. Please type the month so I don't get confused. The month and the day of your birth, and I will provide your reading in the comments, usually within 24 hours. In fact, most of the time 12 hours. But okay, and so anyone I'm not able to get to tonight, please, all I ask, just put your in the comments, put your birthday, and I'll be happy to provide your free message in the comments. Okay, and I've done it before. I'll do it again. Okay. So that said, we have Aikido. Okay. All right, let me just do this to make sure there's no confusion. Okay. Sure. Okay. So let's see. First off, your card was... Or did we find your card yet? Let's see. Maybe not. Let me scroll back. Yeah, so Aikido, what is your birthday? That actually, and I don't need the year, just the month and day. And tell you what, I would like to continue the stream as long as possible to make sure that I don't feel rushed. I won't do that. I don't like to rush through readings. And so I'm August 24th. Okay, I'm gonna pop the wheel up. And again, I'm going to ask for about 5 minutes to just step away for a moment and prepare to make sure that I have some things where it needs to be so that I can continue the stream longer than I had expected. Okay, so if everyone can just give me a couple minutes to do that, warm up my tea, and be able to sit down and commit to Cassie, Aikido, Jocelyn, Memi, and do this. If I crash, I crash. So just be aware. I might not be able to do that. But we'll see. Okay, so I just need a moment, about a couple minutes. Okay, and I'll be right back. And in the meantime, I'll keep the wheel up. But for Aikido, August 24th. Let's get that out really quickly before I step away. August 24th, 8 of Pentacle. Okay, 8 of Pentacle. Okay. And by the way, a happy belated birthday. Okay, let's save that.
Right? Now, obviously, you're still in the Virgo energy, right? And so the major is the same. All right, so you're still in the period of the Hermit. Okay, and so that's still relevant. Okay. Now, at the same time, let me get your card out. 8. Okay. Well, actually, I need the 9 up too. Okay, great. Yeah, the 8's kind of replacing the 4 here. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now, if there's any tarot readers in the room, this is the technique that we use, where we use the decanate or the Deacons to determine the card of the birth and the card of the period of time that we're in, and then combining that with the period of time that we're in, the house, the ruler, the sun sign, the hermit, in this case, due to the major related to that period of time, right? And it creates this horoscope that is relevant to the period between that 10-degree period. So that's ending on September 12th. So what we're about to talk about is between the period of now until the 12th. And then we'll be moving into the energy of the 10 of Pentacle. Right now we're in the 9, right? Now, Aikido's birth card, due to August 24th, if we look at the wheel and we go to August 24th, you'll notice that falls under the 8 of Pentacle, which is Sun in Virgo, okay? Sun in Virgo. Okay, so that said, I just need about a couple minutes, and I'll be right back, and we will do the personal message, answer your individual question, whatever your reading is about this individual, this gentleman, and go from there. It looks like I might go with the Mind, Body, Soul reading, right? That's the reading. It starts with 3 cards plus you 2, and then we'll go from there, okay? So I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll continue from there.
Okay, so we're back. Now, I don't feel that it would be appropriate to use the Spotlight deck for a paid reading, okay? I have never read with it. As you guys saw, it's very beautiful. It does use the standard tarot system, right, as far as the suits and the overall structure. But symbolically, I'm not really studied in this deck, and it's more at this time of a deck that is related to a more right-brained interest, and so I'm not ready to read a paid reading with it. I'm happy to use it tonight for a free one, but not for you, Aikido. So what I'd like to do is to choose a deck relevant to the question. And with the question you gave me, I think I'm going to go and lean toward the Abyss, Tarot of the Abyss. Let's just read the chat real quick. AJ, I just wanted to say thank you for your I really open my mind more than the wow. Thank you for that. It goes a long way to validate what I'm doing here, and so that really means a lot. AJ, thank you for saying that. You just made my heart smile. You know, we all have our moments, and we go through stuff, and so that means more than you know. You know, I'll just say that. So yeah, I'm thinking the Tarot of the Abyss is appropriate for a love reading. Or a connection reading, business, love, friendships that have gone astray, things like that, or for guidance on the karmic trajectory of the current relationship and connection, and how that can be altered, right? Like it's almost like the metaphysics of physics. Like it's the idea of understanding momentum, gravity, right, and how that plays karmically, and how that can affect our decisions, our identity, and how we interact, how we communicate, how our souls talk, and all that matters. And so the reading I'm going to do is called the Mind, Body, and Soul. This reading is one that I've developed over decades of reading cards. This isn't a spread that I was taught necessarily, but it did come from bare bones kind of spreads over the years. But I found that this particular approach is the most effective to really getting at the core of the issue. So the first thing that we needed to do, which we've already knocked out one of those, is determine your birth card. And so we know what that is right now. And I've already forgotten it. And so let's just take a quick look to refresh our memory that we're at the 8 of Pentacle, which is the Sun in Virgo, okay? So we're in the 8 of Pentacles. So I'm just going to simply find that card really quickly and put it up as you in this situation. So let's just find that really quickly. Pardon me while I do that. And in the meantime, and if you don't know it, that's okay. What is their birthday? Oh, look at that. I cut to it. Did everyone see that? I grabbed this, I cut to it, and then I was looking through this pile for that card. That's just great. Anyway, that's you. And so if you know their birthday, which, by the way, anyone who's read cards, March 3rd, okay, great. Anyone who's read cards knows the significance of what just happened. This is the actual birth card of the querent of this reading. Okay, so just to clarify what just occurred here, Aikido asked for a reading related to a certain connection, and I decided, okay, let's use the Tarot of the Abyss. So I cut the cards to find the birth card, and I cut to the birth card. That's what that is the universe saying, yeah, there's a good connection, the reading is going to probably go well. So
Aikido, be prepared for some truth. All right, so March 3rd, let's take a look at the other in the circumstance. And we're looking at the 9 of Cups. How great is that? Okay, so let's take a look at that. 9 of Cups. Okay. Can I do it again? No. Oh, it's an 8 of Cups. Okay, so 9 of Cups. Okay. By the way, give some love, Anatorian. Come on, people. Look at this deck. If you want, you can look up her YouTube channel and you can actually see her drawing. I believe it might be the Knight of Sword. But anyway, that woman knows the tarot. She understands what she's doing. You have never met a bigger priest than me when it comes to a deck. I won't look at it twice if I don't trust the artist and or the symbolism. Look at her Hanged Man. It's drawn upside down as if it's from the perspective of the person hanging upside down. Come on, it actually immerses you in the deck. Like that's what she did. Like, come on, so give her some love. Anatorian, Tarot of the Abyss. Okay, what are we looking for? 9 of Cups. Tell me I skipped it. I didn't skip it. So, now, the period of time that we're in is a period of the Hermit. I don't know how many people were on the stream before. There is no truth in the light. Because in the light, everything is revealed, and so it's kind of hard to discern between the truth and the lies. But in the darkness, when all you have, since you can't see with your eyes, is your inner light, and that only shines on the truth. So it's useless in the sun, but it's everything in the darkness. And so during this period of time of the Hermit is the time that we should take advantage of the fact that the energy is assisting us to do that work, and that it's conducive to going inside as opposed to out. It's introspection over extrospection during this period of time. The 8 of Pentacles is a great card because it refers to this idea that your craft is good and you've gotten busy. In both cases, we have this idea of the work being done, and there's a busyness about it. Like it's not just that you have work to do, it's that you have a lot of work. Like you have a lot of clients, the customers are piling up. People respect it because you care, and it shows in the product. But now there's also an opportunity and a warning here. The opportunity is growth, right? You have this opportunity to maybe introduce other people into the mix so that you can grow faster, maybe to make your system more efficient so that you can catch up and keep up with the demand, basically grow as a company or as a person or as a creator. But the warning is do not let the work suffer for that growth, right? The thing that got you to where you are can't change, or it won't be received the same. And so the lesson and the warning in the 8 is growth is possible right now if you put the work in, and if you don't, growth isn't. And now the reward is the 9, which she is him. She is in a state where the work got done, she did decide to grow, and now leisure, luxury. It talks about the rest that comes from doing the work and the lack of anxiety, the lack of imposition. But another way to describe that is wealth. Because in wealth is the opportunity for leisure, right? And so that idea is present here. So that's where you are right now until this period of time is over, around the 12th, is in this period of grow or die, right? You have the position to grow and to gain if you don't allow the work to suffer. And if you do, the 9 then becomes a punishment. And that punishment is the anxiety, the loss, the sadness of the loss of that opportunity. Man, I could have, but I didn't, right? So, and you don't want to go there. And so take the opportunity during this period of time of the Hermit to look inside and to find the strength when you don't have the motivation. Find that internally. When you're tired but know you got to get that thing done, get that thing done. The strength is there and the reward is worth it, okay? So that's where you are as far as the period of time. Now, with respect to your question, which is you and him, the 9 of Cups is great. The 9 of Cups is a good card. It usually refers to all the cups being full, right? Now, in her depiction, this person is there enjoying all of the cups, and each one has like a different flower that's blooming very nicely. Like, none of them are dying or wilting. They're all like really in kind of blooming and are a good example of each flower. And she is in a position, and this is important, of smelling the flowers, right? Like, she's not missing this circumstance. It's similar in energy to the 9 of Pentacle, but emotional. The 9 of Pentacle refers to the physical sense, the manifested profit, reward that allows for the leisure, for the rest. What this refers to in the cup is the idea of the emotional state of that being. And, you know, one way that that's described, and let me pop it up for a reference here, is like all the cups are full. You have an innkeeper that's sitting around all these cups. Let me get him up here. There we go. And let's just get that coin out of the way and for a moment, right? And all the cups are full. Everyone's happy. The inn is full, and everyone's drinking their wine and partying, and there's an abundance of joy. And the joy comes from everyone recognizing that, oh, we're good. There's no anxiety that things need to be done because it's been done. The work was completed, and because of that, you now get to reap the benefit of that, right? So now here we have, let's jump here for context. I'm going to put 3 cards out: mind, body, and soul. These 3 cards are you, and how this connection moving forward will affect your mind, your body, and your soul, and or how your mind, body, and soul affect the connection. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. Okay, and as far as in the mind section, we have the Sun. It's a major arcana, which is a very good sign. This is the body section. The King of Pentacle. And this is the soul, or the spirit. The world. Wow. Okay. So let's look at your individual question here. Look into the gentleman. Okay. Let's take a look at that. So, and just to clarify the positions here for people who are following along, and for you as well, Aikido, what we have here is you in the circumstance from an energetic level, and them. And then we have the effect and the influence on mentally, physically, and emotionally, or spiritually rather, not emotionally, spiritually. Now, we have here 2 different energies. We have the earth energy and the water. And now this person, though, to you and to others, there is this sense of abundance, right? There is a quality about them that people are attracted to because they seem joyful. Even when times kind of seem bad, they're positive about it. Like they always kind of have this sort of, it's an energy that draws people in because they can anchor to it and it makes them feel good. That might have been what originally drew you to them. But there's also the risk in this case, if that energy is not in the right place, it becomes an abundance of a toxic energy if not directed properly. Now we'll see if that's the case here. So far it doesn't look that way. This actually kind of looks like there's some good opportunities here that we're going to talk about. And we know what the Eight of Pentacles is. We've spoken about that a little bit here, right? About the growth and the doing the work and not letting it suffer, and the fact that you can gain notoriety through doing proper work and putting it out. Whether you bake cookies, do it with love and care and or it's something bigger. Now, as far as the mind is concerned, the fact that we have a major is important. The Sun is also a card of joy because it refers to, the giver of life, the giver of light, basically the center, and so it's kind of this idea of, imagine the ignorance of a child in the presence of the love of their parent, and the child being in the blissful ignorance of the rest of the world, right? Let me try to rephrase that because I want to get this right. Children are the good kind of entitled. They don't and shouldn't worry about the things that adults worry about. They shouldn't wonder about love. They should assume they're going to get it. And what the Sun is the attitude of a child knowing their mommy loves them. Like there's sort of like just an ignorance to the bad in the world. Now, there's a warning there, right? That kid doesn't realize the world sucks. There's division, separation, hate, judgment, all these things. But there's also self-empowerment. There's groups of people that have common beliefs that don't allow that kind of energy into their life. There's ways to navigate the world, obviously, but it's not peaches and cream. It's actually kind of ugly, and it takes us projecting our love into our environment, the people around us, and insisting on it for us to do what we can to reduce suffering in the world, right? So the Sun is this blissful ignorance to the real world because you're too focused on receiving the love. So it's good, but the warning of not missing what's really there. It's great if you're a baby, but we're not, are we? We're adults who live real life. This is falling in the mind section, so this is your mental state, which is not bad, and maybe also the reason that you're drawn to this person, right? Let's read the question. I would like to ask, so how much should I approach this situation since I have trust issues I don't want to bring into our connection? Okay, well, the trust issues are okay as long as you don't identify too much. Listen to them like you would any other advice, but don't immediately assume it's truth, right? So hold the idea, process it, then let it go, and introduce it as a possible solution, but you don't have to identify with it, okay? Trust issues are your body going, well, all right, let's protect ourselves, but don't let that overcome the situation. And we may uncover very soon here what the source of those issues are, right? But so the mind section puts you in a state of feeling that sort of like blissful ignorance, but the warning is also that and you are aware of this, it's not always peaches. And so the Sun, it provides both of those lessons. Don't forget, the Sun has the power. Hey, Baba, how's it going? The Sun has the power to shine light on everything. We talked about that with the Hermit. In the light, you see everything, and so it's sometimes hard to discern what's good and what's bad, what's truth and what's lies. And state that you're in mentally is not achieving that. Like, you're kind of in a state of missing some of the bad. And so that would certainly account maybe for some of the fear that manifests as a trust issue. Because what is trust? Or a lack of trust, but either the absence of fear or the presence of it, right? So I forget who it was, but there was one of the wise men basically said that fear is simply the anticipation of evil, right? So now in the body section, we have the King of Pentacle. The artist, again, Anna Torian, the name of the deck is Tarot of the Abyss. This artist is very intentional in her faces. Some of her faces are very intentionally attractive, and some of her faces are very intentionally not. This card in the body section of this connection is a definitely attractive male. Look at that, look at those eyes. Like, you want, like, this person, you want to give this person a hug, you want to feel their warmth. Right? I mean, can't you feel the warmth of their neck on your face right now? Like, this artist really got, there's something about the quality of the eyes, the affect of the face. And the idea here too, he's revealing his heart as the pentacle. He's revealing his heart as the pentacle. Okay, now so consider what that means, because the question here is related to the body. Well, related to this man, but the body, right? So, let me put it this way. Your heart is in good hands. I feel decent about this connection. From this perspective, you're physically safe with them. And there's also a quality of a steadfast nurturing, like an unmovable reliability. Physically, connection-wise, like intimately, physically, there is this idea of a good situation. How that is manifested individually, intimately, we can talk about on a private reading. There's no reason to reveal that in a live stream, but just suffice it to say, it would be a decent connection physically, and we'll just leave it there. Of course, as we all know, a lot of that requires the right mental state and connection with the person. And trust is not an example of a thing that could get in the way of that. It is easy to kind of let go and remember that the mind is the ultimate sex organ, right? The mind is the thing that the aphrodisiac acts upon. And in this case, they are that. Now, in the soul / spirit section of the reading here, we have the World. It's the first card. It's the beginning of the end of the beginning. It's the snake eating its tail. Very interesting that she chose that as the symbol. Very typically you see it's the other side of the Fool typically. So the Fool is a clothed youth, and the World is typically a nude female, which is basically the sign of the next coming age, right? We're entering a very decidedly feminine energy. About time. You know, the men have been killing each other for a couple thousand years, and it's time for us to kind of move on from that. And, you know, sidebar, a lot of what we're experiencing in the world right now, a lot of the separation, the hate, the anger, all this nonsense is just the death throes of the old way of thinking. So it's a good thing, because what it represents is that the old way is dying and it's not happy and it's going loud. That's fine. Let it go loud. It's still dying. So what we have here in the World is this idea of that stage being complete, and the new has begun. So it's not a card of the ending. It's the card of the entering the new phase, the new age. Crowley called it the Aeon. So And we are, again, decidedly moving into a feminine energy, out of the masculine. The Christ consciousness is about to manifest as a woman, if it hasn't already. So, and now that said, this falling in the spirit position is significant. First of all, it's a major, but also it's the major. It's the only one. It's actually, we're stuck in time and space, and so we see everything as having a beginning and an end. But what we all don't realize is that we all exist at the end of time, waiting for ourselves to catch up to ourselves. And that state, that higher consciousness that exists forever, that is the actual observer that we are, the observer of our thoughts, the occupier of our body, the driver of this vehicle, lives in this space, is already there. And all we're doing is playing it out through this thing called time. And we think that we are in control of that when we're really the observer. And the choices, we did make them. This isn't a question of free will. The question is when we made them. Because it's not right now. It happened a long time ago. And how long ago? In the future. In the end of time. Which is the beginning. And that's what this card represents. Okay? And so now that is not a bad card to have in your soul spot. Because that refers to the fact that you are intrinsically, sort of genetically, spiritually built, connected, ready, able to enter these phases easily and to bring other people with you. It's kind of like you have this natural energy about you that draws people into being open to letting go of old things. Now, that doesn't hurt for circumstances that there are people who hold things in that can get in the way of the relationship. So, first thing I'm going to do now is pause, ask you if you have any questions or any insight that you'd like or any clarification about anything I spoke about. And if not, then I'm going to draw one more card and then complete the reading after that. So let's just begin with that. Are there any questions about anything I talked about? Is there any clarification that you'd like? And to answer your question directly right there, how should I approach it? Really, I think the best answer is the sun. Approach it with blind abandon for joy as the goal. Joy is the goal. Joy it's not a lot. You can't fake it. You can't fake joy. What is joy? It's the sensation that exists when you are not courageous but fearless. Children are fearless because they haven't learned to be afraid yet. Courage doesn't exist in their world because it hasn't even become a necessity, so it doesn't even exist. So that's the state you want to be in, but while at the same time, now that we're adults and we recognize reality, that feel the sun on your face, enjoy the warmth, but recognize that every once in a while, open your eyes and make sure you're safe. Okay, then go back and close your eyes and enjoy the sun. Okay, so that's really what you should be doing with respect to how you attach to this person. I actually was nodding my head the entire time everything I thought you spoke of. Cool. But so that's your answer to the direct question of like what's the approach? The approach is don't let yourself miss it because you're afraid. Close your eyes. Look at the sun and feel the warmth. Every once in a while, everything's good? Okay. Right? So, self-care, always, but don't miss love for fear. Psh, that is the worst. Because you know what? Don't be 47 years old with regret over love, man. That's not fun. Okay, so then that said, then I'm going to complete the reading with one more card. And the card that we're going to look at here, oh, Cassie, sure, absolutely. Yeah, you're next, actually. I believe you should be on here, the list as next. Yeah. Okay. So, the final card here with respect to, let's just jump to the desk because I'm going to put it up here. The final card that I want to put out here is the action card. Okay? The action card is the card of, let's look at it this way. The reading as it stands right now is, if nothing else changed, what is the direction that it's going in? What is the karmic trajectory of the current circumstance, right? And so now the next card I'm going to pull, the final card, and what I'm going to do here, what's the good? I'm going to pick this. No, I'm going to pick the sun. I'm going to put you two together, and I'm going to pick the sun as the top card to represent the reading thus far. Thus far, the reading is the sun, this lesson of letting the joy in while peeking every once in a while to make sure you're okay, and then, you know, and the ratio, for as far as I'm concerned, should be 80-20. Let the sun in 80% of the time, peak 20%, okay? Now, I'm going to throw a card out, and this card is, what should we do, if anything, next to honor and facilitate the rightness of this situation? And so either the answer we're about to get is do this, and I'm going to give you some advice, or do nothing because you're on the right path and get out of your own way and let it happen. So let's find out what that answer is. And so I'm just going to do a little shuffle, and we're going to do that, okay? And one more time, okay, let's see, that's about to flip out. I'm going to keep that card. One more time, please give some love to Anna Torian, the artist of this deck. It's called the Tarot of the Abyss. Anyone who's gotten any value out of the images of this deck, look at the Three of Cups. You're one of the hands. Like, again, there's a lot of immersion. She's so great. Look at the Chariot. Are you kidding? I mean, you can see, feel, touch the motion, movement. I can feel the breeze on my face, the cold air. Like, really. So, I mean, I don't know. Am I like fanboying too hard on this deck? Sorry, it's worth it. But Anatorian, Tarot of the Abyss, give her your money. If you can't afford it, go rob a bank and then give it to her. All right. So go to her website. Don't buy it from Amazon if you don't have to. Anyway, so the final card that we're going to look at is going to be the card of what is the next step you should take, if any, to ensure that whatever does happen, that you're on the right path toward this connection happening in the right way, okay? Oh. You know, there's I do a lot of readings. I'm not kidding. I do 12 a week for the signs, 4 a day for my channel across the 4 platforms. My client stuff, which is 2-3 a day on private. 35 years of reading tarot cards. Like, and so every once in a while you get a reading that just totally bullseyes and the energy's there, and so we started the deck by cutting to you and end this reading with the Lovers. Come on. Now, of course, I can't just be warm and fuzzy peachy because that's not reality. So let's talk reality. The Lovers is always a good card, except it's kind of like the Sun. It's a similar lesson / warning. Every act is an act of love. Sorry, every act. Hating someone is an act of love. These two objects, this pack of cards and this table, touching, is an act of love. The communication takes place and a decision's made on how they're going to interact. So, the lesson in Lovers is what is it that you love? Don't miss the person because you're looking at something else. And don't be too infatuated so that you miss potential danger. Lovers can very quickly turn into the devil. And let me just be clear about what I just said, because that's a bold statement, but it's actually literal. It's a literal statement, and let me show you what I mean. Okay, so let me just drop a couple of these cards out of the way here. Okay, so let's first look at the Lovers. We all know it well. It's one of the more iconic images, right, of the tarot. Okay, and now let's look at the Devil. And can anybody tell me if these look similar? Right, and that's not an accident. That is a very deep, esoteric piece of knowledge that you're looking at right now. On the left are the Lovers. Both hands are up in the air. The angel is holding. Both hands are up. What do you see on the Devil? As above, so below. Let's look at the Lovers and where they're looking. She's looking at the angel. He's looking at her. Let's look at the Devil. She's looking at us. He's looking at her. The Lovers is referring to, if you notice, and it's not accidental, behind the woman is that little story we all know. And so there's the idea of temptation, and the woman, because, you know, you guys are responsible for everything, is the target of that temptation, right? And now, if you also look at the Devil here, we have the idea of these chains around the neck. Well, let's notice that these chains are kind of loose. They can really pull them off anytime. Like, it doesn't have to stay there. It's actually kind of a willful act. Willful meaning that your decisions, your actions are what cause it. And they can take them off and walk out. And there's the final thing here. The Devil can only affect our mind. He has no control of the physical world. So the only thing that the Devil can do in the world is what he fools us into doing for him. And he requires our participation. He requires our permission, and can only affect our mind. Cannot even get into our heart. If we feel it, it's because we allowed that transfer to happen. He lives here. The Lovers refers to this. So now they also are both sixes. Well, no, they're not, Michael. The Devil's 15. Well, of course he is. Well, 1 plus 5 is 6, right? And so they're both sixes, and that's not an accident either. So the Lovers, although it's a beautiful card and it's usually a good energy, is still a somewhat of a warning about the dangers of allowing yourself to give in to the wrong love or for the wrong reason. But in this particular circumstance, the way that came out is very much like the Sun here. The message is positive, and you keep your eyes open, but you don't have to worry about that. It's a matter of just self-care. Peek every once in a while, make sure everything's okay, and then shut your eyes, enjoy, and take in the sun. Like, let that happen, okay? So that's what I've got with respect to this connection. I will be keeping the video up so you can review that reading anytime you'd like in the future. I appreciate you donating to my channel. It makes a big difference to know that I'm hopefully providing insight and bringing some value. So, okay. Yeah, so that said, I'm going to pull out the Lon Milo Duquette for the next reading here, which it's looking like, just to be straight, I'm getting very tired. It's very late. It's almost 5 in the morning. I really need to get some sleep for tomorrow, but so I'll finish up with Cassie and then call it an evening. I appreciate everybody who joined, and anyone who I wasn't able to get to. I honor this. If you want to check my videos and look at the comments, you'll see I do this. If I didn't get to you, just comment on this video with your birthday, and I will provide you your reading for free in the comments, okay? So that's all I ask. So Cassie, thank you, Aikido, for your participation in my stream and for your trust. It doesn't mean a lot. It means literally everything. Okay, so Cassie, let's get that going here. Let's scroll back and see, do we have your card? I know you answered it, didn't you? Okay, maybe not. Cassie, if you're still here, let me know. And I just need your month and day of birth, okay? And in the meantime, I'll pop this up. Okay, great. And so, yeah, I just need the month and day of birth, and then we can continue with that. Yeah, let me pull this out again, actually. This is for Kat. Okay? Cassie, I'm glad you're here. This one's for Kat. Let me just let's look at this card again for a sec, because I did kind of breeze past it, and that's a disservice to the card. Okay, so and this artist, again, let's just give one more why not. It's, you know what, let's just spread some love, man. The world sucks. Choose joy. This is The Lovers in the Tarot of the Abyss by Anatorian. Let's make sure that she gets her due here, man. Okay. Tarot of the Abyss. Okay. Now, great. Okay, so the fact that the card is the trees is cute, and as a device is very beautiful here, right? But the deeper meaning here is the fact that they share roots. It's one tree. They share roots, right? And so that's a very beautiful symbolism here with the trees. And there's also, she did great with the way they're kind of turning into each other. You can almost see the arm kind of, like there's definitely this sort of anthropomorphization on a very basic level. It's not on purpose, but and then there's also, and this is, maybe I'm stretching, anyone else in the room looking at the deck, if you have an opinion on this, let me know. And maybe one day, if the channel gets worth it, we can speak to this person, maybe have an interview or something, and ask her if this is true. But if I see the card almost indicative of looking like a heart, right? It almost has this vibe of like looking like a heart, right? Like if you look at it, almost like there's veins, like you can see the blood vessels, the different chambers. Am I stretching? Or do you think the artist was thinking, well, you know what? Let's make it look like a heart with the branches. I don't know. There's this sort of like, obviously the lover card in general wants there to be symmetry in the nature of the art, right? It's kind of like an obvious thing, right? As far as the symmetry, but at the same time, there's this beautiful organic nature of the trees with the roots and stuff. I love it. I can't. So I know the fact that you appreciate it too, which is great stuff. Some artists, they're really good at their art and they make pretty pictures, and good for that. And the world needs people that are good draftsmen and can express themselves visually, but that's not enough to make a tarot deck. I'm sorry, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm just going to be brutally honest. Anybody can throw together 72 pictures and print some cards. That does not make a tarot deck. If you create an image, it's an image. Once another person sees it, feels it, and it creates and elicits a response, art is born. beauty is born. Before that, it's not beautiful, it's just a thing. But when it's perceived, it becomes beauty. So there's this participation that's necessary for beauty to be created, for art to be created. And that participation needs to take place to be called a tarot deck. And so some decks, as hard as they try, you can't read them, because they're not tarot decks. And nothing against them personally if they work for you, but like these decks that are like a photograph with a keyword, really? But so what she's done is it is this fluent language that's so obvious that, I mean, it's like a child could pick it up and read and would probably do pretty good, because the symbolism is so just right to the core of the, and so some artists, they kind of deserve props, but more than that, like, we need to maintain the integrity of this knowledge. And if you find a deck that someone's doing it right, get it out there so that people are learning the right deck, the right type of symbolism, and we can maintain the integrity of this beautiful system that's been developed over literally millennia. Okay, so sorry for the rant there. So Cassie, just need the birthday, February 15th. Oh, really? Wow. Well, that's going to be cool. Okay, so February 15th. There we go. 7 of Sword, which is also in the energy of the moon in Aquarius. The moon in Aquarius. 7 of Sword. Okay, so let's just pop that on real quick. 7 of Sword. Okay. Now, the 7 of Sword also, that represents the Deacon, but you're also in Aquarius, right? Now, all of the, where am I? There we go. All of the majors have some type of influence that's either related to the elements, the planets, or the houses, the sun signs, right? And so the sun signs are represented by all of the signs. And if we look here in the center area, you're going to see all of the signs themselves, like Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, so on. In this case, Aquarius. And each sign has a trump associated with it. And in this particular case, that trump is called the star. And I'm just going to pop it up quickly so you can have a reference for that. And the 7 of Sword, right? So first, let's just look at the star. There's some interesting symbolism here with respect to the fact that the foot isn't going through the water, that one's on land, one's in the water, and there's some other things that we'll talk about. What this really refers to is the true us, the who we are before we put on the meat bag, right? Before we get into a body and process through a brain, the infinite us that is the observer of the thought, not the thinker, the observer. The brain thinks, we don't think, we look at thoughts. We are the observer, that's the star. It's the consciousness within us that is devoid of form, that is eternal and infinite. It's who we really are. So that's the star. Now, your birth card is the 7 of Sword. Now, sometimes this card can have a negative connotation, and I don't want you to immediately prejudge that. It does right away have this kind of sense of dishonesty about it, right? Like this person's like kind of tiptoeing away with some swords, and they're also leaving a couple behind, right? Like they don't even have time to grab them all nicely and whatever. Like, so they're clearly don't have someone's best interest in mind, and they're doing bad things. That's the surface meaning. Right? There's 3 different meanings to every tarot card, and this is related to the idea of the secret societies having their inner circle of knowledge. the first circle, which anyone who pays the fee and walks in the door gets. Oh, it's a guy stealing swords, right? Okay, fine. Don't forget, this deck is a Golden Dawn based deck. It's a magical organization. So now, inside of that is another circle of knowledge. These are the people who get the, instead of the lie in secret or in the open, they get the truth in secret. And so the truth in secret is the idea that the 7 is one of the holiest numbers. It refers to the 7 planets. It refers to the sun and the 6 directions of physical reality. It's a very profound number. And in this particular circumstance, it refers to the sword, which is mental activity. And so what this really is talking about is the idea of mental flexibility, which could lend also under the circumstances of somebody who's able to kind of stretch the law in their thinking. Meaning that this person is somebody that is okay thinking things that other people may feel are not acceptable to modern society. Like it's like there's an independence to their thought. There's a free thinking attitude here, but there's also an idea of gain being the driving force. So this is a person that can be selfish, is intellectual, and they can use and they have the power to use that intellect to manipulate. Very often, unbeknownst, the sword represents communication. So this card doesn't, at the surface, look like a communication card. It's the opposite. This person does not want to talk, right? They want to get out of there before being seen. But rather, what this refers to is the idea of being able to hide your true intention while communicating. And that requires wit, intelligence, emotional intelligence, so that you understand what it is you're trying to manipulate in the other. And now, the Hermit in this period of time is giving you this idea, this energy of, hey, listen, if you look inside, you may determine what the motivation is and how to use this power for good or for your own good. Is what this person doing good? Maybe, because maybe they're going to get these swords, sell them, and make a bunch of money, but it's really not good because the risk is pretty high. And, you know, where they're from, they don't just put you in jail for stealing, right? You can tell where this person is based on the types of dwellings in the back, the hat that they're wearing. This is not a society that's okay with stealing. This person's going to lose his hand. So there's a risk here, right? And so you have to weigh that risk. The power that you have is one that is dangerous, not only to the people that you choose to manipulate, if it's for nefarious reasons, but it's potentially dangerous to you, right? So just be aware of that. It's powerful if used properly and dangerous if not. Now, the reward of doing that work and looking in to determine what is your motivation when you're getting selfish. We're all selfish. Most of us are good people, though, thankfully. Is the reward of the 9 of Pentacles, which is that peace that you don't have anything to be afraid of because you haven't allowed that to happen. That's sort of like, yes, bending the truth is not a bad way of putting that. It's the idea that, you know, it's okay to own your shit, basically. Like, you know, we're human beings who want to win. We want to receive pleasure. We want to receive affirmation of our identity. We want to be looked at and liked. All these, and there's no shame in that. How we go about that is what determines our character and what our motivation is. And one thing I've said over and over again, and it's relevant to the Hermit here, is the difference between reflecting the world and shining our own light. When you reflect the world, you're going to draw attention from people who are attracted to that. And that's not you. You're reflecting something, meaning that that's not you that you're shining. You're showing something else. But if you shine your own light, you will draw the attention of people who are attracted to you, which means you'll automatically be fulfilled. Communication will be better. The things you create will be recognized by others as authentic, and real love can take place. Now, love doesn't just mean relationships, but just all the connections in your life, including the most important, yourself, the real you, the star, the you without the body, without the hang-ups, without the gender, without the roles, without the, like, with no identity, but the infinite you, which is literally love manifest as a consciousness that desires to make a connection with itself. This is God looking at himself. This is the universe experiencing itself in real time. Don't miss that, right? So that's the lesson here. So I hope that was insightful. All I ask of anybody that participates in the stream, if you find any value in what I'm doing, please just like the video and consider a comment. The comments are a big deal, and they make a big difference to help to grow the channel here. To anybody who, for whatever reason, I wasn't able to get to tonight, if you came in late on the stream here, I apologize that I wasn't able to get to you. It's just the nature of the timing. But I do provide free readings to anyone who participates. That just takes one step. Just comment in the video your month and day of birth, and I will reply to the video, or to that comment, with your free reading, okay? And anybody who, for any reason, donates $10, whether it's for a reading or because you like what I'm saying and you want to buy me a cup of coffee, gets a free incense kit. And what the incense kit basically is a it's an assortment of the incense that the smoke draws downward. I forget the term for that. I forget, but basically the backflow, or anyway, and an incense holder in a pretty little pouch. And anyone in the United States or Canada is entitled to that. Okay, so I appreciate everyone for stopping in. If you did come in late, I encourage you listen to at least the first maybe 20 minutes of this stream. There's a lot of good information there. That's before I got into the readings. As well as before I leave, I just want to throw up again this link to the beautiful soul of the day. This is somebody in the tarot community who did something very special, and I just wanted to highlight their channel. Go see this person, give them some love. There's a video that's linked in the description of this video to what motivated me to do that. Watch her video. She's walking the walk. We talked about the Six of Pentacles here and how it's related to what she's speaking about, which is not the idea just strictly of giving. It's the idea of recognizing that the imbalance in the world is our doing, and we have an obligation to make that right. And that's why she did what she did. Okay, so that said, show her channel love. The link is in the description. Full disclosure, I don't know her. She came into my chat once, and that is the extent. So this isn't like some kind of marketing thing or like anything like that. This is just me recognizing someone walking their talk and thinking that the world needs to see that. So just to clarify again, this is her channel. The name Sharper Tarot. Her name is Sharper Clairvoyant. Check the channel out. And spread the love. She's spending love on the world. The least we can do is give some back to give her fuel for the next one, okay? So that said, thank you so much. I do plan on streaming again tomorrow. I put 4 readings up a day. They're on the channel right now, so check them out. Otherwise, I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Have a great night, guys.